You don't owe me anything. You don't owe me anything at all.
For the last 4 rounds of the Spar and Pull Factory New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Racing Championship, the results have been the same. It's been a completely dominant performance from placemakers Richard Shaw's and Wayne Carson. Here we are at round 5 and we're at the Pine Harbour Marina in Beachlands, and this is a little bit different. It's a point-to-point course. Well, actually we're having a beat each way because it's a point-to-point, and in the middle of the point-to-point they've got 8 small laps to complete as well to make the 100-mile distance. All the experts tell me that maybe this is the time that placemakers are really going to have to work for their money. Well, before we get into the racing, let's have a look at the points, and it is placemakers still on top in the overall championship from Cytec and Jesse James. In the UMI 6 litre class, it's Grant Smith and Cytec and FMI in second place, although we haven't seen them today. Sports A, it's the Crawford brothers in Chindit, and in Sports B, it's John Frew. No one can beat the Predator. In the Hondas, it's still Greg Brink, but the Thompson boys starting to nip at his heels, and so too John Jobs. So all is set for what should be a very different round 5 of the Spar and Pull Factory Series. Different because this is a point-to-point race. To explain the different strategies, 4-time champion Peter Turner.
The way different set of circumstances. The boat's a lot flightier, a lot lighter on the water, probably a little bit more required on the steering side of things, from my part of things anyway. And just the way you trim the boat's very important, because I mean, if you don't trim it properly, it can cost you a couple of miles an hour.
And that could be all it takes.
It's all it takes. Over 100 miles, it's a big difference.
The boat they'll all be chasing, if everything goes to plan for these boys, is placemakers.
Well, obviously it's going to be fairly high speed today, I would think. You know, provided, I mean, cats like flat water, but I mean, we like a little bit of breeze to get the boat up off the water, and if it's very sticky, this boat's obviously a lot heavier than, say, the Cytec boat. We're probably a tonne heavier, so we like a little bit of breeze to help get us up off the water and get unglued as it is.
Another cat challenging for the lead will be Jesse James.
Today, I don't think there's anyone going to be holding back today, that's for real. With the way the points are sitting between the top 3 boats, there's placemakers that's quite a way ahead, so I think that everybody's going to be going flat nana to see who can get to the other end.
Cytec is the boat everyone's worried about. It's a lot lighter than the big boys and just as quick.
Grant and I are pretty happy today. It's looking like it's going to be a really smooth one. We discussed the game plan earlier. Basically, it's Grant's going to put the throttles all the way down, leave them there, and I'm just going to steer the thing.
Well, you mentioned steering, and of course navigation comes into play here.
Yes, I had a quick lesson on how to work the GPS, so hopefully we'll find our way. There's a few interesting points we've got to watch out for, make sure we don't end up collecting any mussels down the coast there a bit. And the other thing is, hopefully I'll be able to find Thames. So, not from being around here, it's all a new game really.
Well, you can see that the flare has gone up, so we're moments away from the start here in round 5 of the Spar and Pull Factory New Zealand Offshore Powerboats. We're coming to you from the Hauraki Gulf. We're just off Flat Island and we are very close to the Beachlands coastline. Behind us, well, the whole fleet of the boats. You see the Hondas there? They will line up to the right-hand side of the start boat. The big boats, the open class boats, the placemakers, the Cytecs, the Jesse James and such, they will line up to the left. It will be a rolling start and they are getting set to go. You see the start boat just off my left shoulder. We are underway with round number 5 of the Spar and Pull Factory Offshore Powerboat Racing. This is the race from Beachlands to Thames. And what a difference this is. It means that navigation comes into play as well. And look at the start that DMZ Global's got. That's Sleepyhead in the top of the picture. Just inside of them it is Jesse James, Cytec there as well. So we just look now and see if we can find placemakers. We're on board here with Cytec as they work their way in these brilliant conditions, virtually flat water here in the Hauraki Gulf. It may be a little bit different as we head down into the Firth of Thames, but for the moment, ideal conditions. And what a shot that is. Rooster tails out the back of the leading boats as they hit speeds approaching 110 miles an hour. Perfect conditions. You heard Peter Turner say he'd just be having the throttles hard down, and it's just a matter of steering the boat and finding Thames. There is placemakers, unbeaten so far in the series, but for the moment they are chasing Sleepyhead as they work their way down towards Kawakawa Bay across the coast. There is Sleepyhead. It interesting to note that a helicopter having real problems catching up with these guys. That's how fast they're going in the flat water. And look at this, Placemakers in the wake of Sleepyhead, so they are chasing them down. We saw this in the previous round at Napier. Behind them, strung out, the pace is on, DMZ Global, and just behind DMZ Global it is Perry Morris and Supercat, along with Bevan Antonelli. They're having their best run so far here in round number 5. Well, I said the water was flat, but there's still plenty of chance to catch some air as SciTech demonstrates. Dave Aldridge and Grant Smith, we're on board with them now. And you heard Dave Aldridge say in his interview just before the race that it's more than just a matter of finding Thames. There's some laps to be contended with as well. Off the Kiowa coast, each boat will do well. For the big boats, it'll be 8 laps, and for the smaller boats, the 60-mile boats, it'll be appreciably less. And they've got to negotiate reefs, rocks and islands. So all sorts of things come into contention here for round 5 of the Spar and Pool Factory. There is Alien, European designed boat, starting to get into the laps here. Behind them, Chindit, the Crawford team. So it's a matter of doing the required number of laps, and then it'll be a straight out drag race through to the finish at Thames. John Frew, by the look of it, in the Predator, been unbeaten so far in Sports B class. There is Bill Thompson in Total Oils. Great shots coming from our camera chopper here as we hover above the lap course just off the Kiowa coast. You can see for yourself, perfect conditions. SciTech comes through, Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge. Back on board with them as they start the laps. You see the buoy just off on the left-hand side of the shot now. Meantime, I can tell you that we're hearing from our radio that there's been a bit of drama further down the course with Placemakers. They have a reoccurrence of a problem they had in Napier, and that is that the boat keeps coming out of gear. And the only way to put the boat back into gear is to stop one engine and virtually come to a halt and then put the boat in gear and get going again. Alien doing a good job here in the flat conditions. Unusual design boat, a European design boat. And there is the race leader, and this is Sleepyhead. Peter Turner and Craig Archer. They've put the problems behind them of the earlier rounds, and now they're in the front of this one. Placemakers chasing hard back in second place. And we've documented the problems that they've been having. Chindit going through well. It'll be an open air ride for the Crawford team in Chindit. One of the oldest boats in the competition, has that distinctive shriek to the engine, but always gets the job done in the 100-mile-an-hour race. Greg Crawford doing the driving. There is the Valder brothers and Jesse James, and as their want, they were down pre-running the course on Thursday. They've done that in every round that's been local for them, which is based around the Auckland area. They also went to Wellington a couple of days earlier and pre-ran the course. It's a part of their strategy, so they know exactly what to expect. No surprises for Jesse James. This is a battle in the Hondas, and I think a bit of an upset coming up here too, because it looks like Honda Marine, the Thompson brothers, out in the front of the points leader, Greg Brink. Have a look how quickly these boats are going. Peter Turner and Craig Archer in Sleepyhead leading the race. Of course, they want to be the first combination to win 5 national championships. That's why Peter Turner came back into the race. SciTech making it look like it's hard going as they push on, currently sitting in 3rd or 4th place at the moment. Greg Crawford, I should say, back there in Chindit. He'd be 5th in the 100-mile-an-hour race. Remember, 2 races within one, 100 mile an hour for the National Open and the UAM 3 to 6 litre boats. And for the others, the sports boat, it is the 60-mile race, but because of the speed difference, they finish around about the same time. Kelly Smith in the Gambler rounds one of the boys off the Kiowa coast. So this is the lap portion of the course. Once they've completed their laps, it's a sprint into Thames. There is Perry Morris and Bevan Antonelli in Supercat. So conditions a little bit heavier here off the Kiowa coast than what we saw off the coast of Beatsons in the Hauraki Gulf. So changeable. They said the wind was going to get up. They said there'd be a little chop on the water, and that's what we're experiencing here as we go back on board with SciTech Racing. Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge. They currently be in 4th place. And some close racing here as Chindit, well, maybe the Alien's in trouble. Chindit just going through on the inside. So battles within battles. We've seen this all season long. in the Honda boats, and here they are again. This is the Thompson brothers and Greg Brink, and you could throw a blanket over both of them. Race leader, well, he's got it on his own this time. This is Peter Turner and Craig Archer, the big block Mer Cruisers, working hard. Placemakers back in second place. We've documented for you their problems, and what the word we're getting is that they may have solved the problems, but it may be a little bit too late for them, as Sleepyhead now has got a commanding lead. In third place it is Jesse James, then it would be Cytec, Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge out of Wellington. Then it's the Aucklanders, Perry Morris and Bevan Antonelli in Supercat. And well, they look to be slowing as well. And the other word we're getting is that some problems for Supercat and DMZ Global. They got very close, and the word we're getting from the officials is they may have touched in the lap course, so we'll keep an eye on that for you as Jesse James comes into shot now. They're currently sitting in third place. And there is Cytec, should I say Supercat, and they've come to a halt, and I think that's a result of a collision. We're hearing on race radio that a collision between DMZ Global and Supercat means Supercat cannot continue. These guys can. Sleepyhead heading in towards Thames now, and the conditions have changed a little bit. They're getting a little bit rough out there, but nothing that these guys aren't used to. Peter Turner and Craig Archer in number 44, Sleepyhead, a brand new boat this season. They had some problems earlier on with the safety hatch coming adrift, but now they are in command of this round 5 of the Spar and Pool Factory New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Championship. And as the boats head to Thames, it is an unsurmountable lead for Sleepyhead. Placemakers back in second place. We've documented the problems that they've had. In third place it will be Jesse James, but the word we get from Jesse James is they're in danger of running out of fuel, so placemakers will get through in second, but this boat will come back to shore as a winner of round number 5 in the Spar and Pool Factory New Zealand Offshore Powerboats. There is placemakers across the line in second place. In third place it will be Jesse James, and the Battle of the Hondas will be won by the Thompson brothers, Carl and Travis in Honda Marine. They've beaten Greg Brink, and here is a bit of drama as they crawl to the finish. The word we're getting is they are very, very low on fuel. In fact, it looks like maybe only one engine working for Jesse James. It's not going to bother them too much. They'll still come through in third place. In fourth it will be Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge in the skater hulled Cytec, and in fifth place it looks like, well, that's John Frew coming through to complete yet another win in his class. Alien will go through in second. Now, they didn't start in Napier and they had a DNF in Wellington, so that will get their championship campaign back on track. That's Dean Veal. And there is DMZ Global, and we told you that they are involved in the collision with Supercat in the lap course off the coast of Kaiawa. So they come through the finish, but unfortunately Supercat don't. Peter Turner gets back into the winner's circle after 7 years.
Everything came right today?
Yeah, and for the crew I'm really delighted by that, because they've worked hard and had a lot of disappointment the first 4 rounds. So it's just great to get it one away.
What was the difference today?
We had nothing go wrong. Yeah, put on some new props too. They just got those in from the States. They made a wee bit of a difference. And yeah, just all fell together for us and had some luck on our side.
Oh, we didn't have a particularly good run. We had one engine kept jumping out of gear, so we ended up having to, each time it jumps out of gear, you got to stop the motor, put it back in gear and get going again. Then the last time, I don't know whether the linkage had stretched but we just couldn't get it in gear, so we ended up having to go back into the engine bay and wire the thing, hardwired in gear. So yeah, we didn't have a particularly, I mean, we were lucky where we came, to be honest. At the end of it, we were just trying to finish at the end.
Definitely had a few issues with the length of it as we run out of fuel 2 miles before the finish line on one engine there, not allowing for a 125 mile race. Normally we only run about 100 miles, so a little bit peed off in the length of the race, obviously, which put us a bit behind in the finish line, but we'll just wait to see what comes out of it.
After the incident with DMZ Global, the damage was there for all to see.
But when it got into the rough, the water was forcing up here. You know? Once we got into the Firth of Thames here, out from, I think the laps out from Kaiawa, it got a little bit choppy at one end, but yeah, we were going all right. We did about 3 or 4 laps after we had the accident, but yeah, just the way it goes. We kept the motors dry, so we're right. We don't just get it fixed.
It seems that I was on the inside, he was on the outside. We turned, and as we turned round the buoy, he then cut across my wake and come onto the inside of my boat. and from that point we just collided. I'm not too sure who's in the wrong, but I throttled off as quick as I could. We got a little bit of damage there, and we put a bit of damage on their boat, which is unfortunate. We don't like doing that in racing, but that is racing, and we've shaken hands and all good for the next race.
For the first time in 5 rounds, Formula Honda had a new winner. It was the Thompson brothers.
Oh, it was a great race from the start to the end. We had a few problems with the engine, lost the cowling, but nothing major. Yeah, just all in all, a really good race. Yeah, awesome.
With 3 rounds still to go in the championship, it is Richard Shaw's and Wayne Carson still on top. Cytec Racing in second place, Jesse James in third. In the UAM 3 to 6 leader, Grant Smith and Cytec leads from DNZ Global now. FMI hoping to be back next round. Sports A, it's the Crawford boys in Chindit, and in Sports B, John Frew is unbeatable. In the Hondas, it's still Greg Brink, but now it's Travis and Carl Thompson nipping at his heels with Kelly Smith in third.